welcome back to Through the Trapdoor. I'm Katie.
And I'm Emily.
And this is our podcast where we read you Harry Potter fan fiction.
So we're up to almost 350 all-time downloads. I am so excited.
I'm super, super excited. I love seeing all of our little downloads and all over the world. And
yeah,
we showed up in Italy and Norway and Alaska, which is basically another country, even though it is part of the United States.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's so far away.
Showing up all over the map. I'm very excited.
Oh, Costa Rica. That one I was pretty excited about. I don't know why, but I was.
It's just, it feels far away, so it's exciting.
It really is. So last week we read you a short story. Well, Emily read you a short story.
Yes.
And we were gonna do two, but took longer than we expected. So today I will read you my short story. And it's a doozy.
Yeah. We might read a second one. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. So here's my story. It's called The Kids Are All Wrong. I found it because it was written for prompt.
I'm so excited.
So this is going to be great. Oh yeah, this is already fabulous. Voldemort was headmaster of Hogwarts.
Yes. Yes.
This is already perfect. Voldemort had killed Harry Potter in the graveyard after the third Triwizard task.
Okay.
Even though he was supposed to be happy, Draco couldn't shake the overwhelming feeling of dread that he felt when he stepped off the Hogwarts Express for his 5th year.
I mean, fair.
I mean, Voldemort is headmaster.
That'd be pretty horrible.
Although, I can't see why Draco is supposed to be happy, but at the same time, his parents were always just terrified of Voldemort, and that's the only reason they were there.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like his dad joined as, like, a crazy teenager, and then, like, he grew up and had a child and immediately regretted all of his previous decisions.
Yep, and now he's like, fuck, I'm too far right. I'm too deep. Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
Yep. Unlike Bellatrix, who lived for that shit.
Oh, yes. But she did marry into the Malfoy. Bellatrix. Well, no. Well, yeah, she technically married into the family, but...
No, because her sister was a black.
Oh, yeah.
So, like...
Narcissa married into the Malfoys.
Yeah.
And just brought crazy-ass Bellatrix with her.
Yep.
Bellatrix. Not Bellatrix.
I know what you meant.
I know. All right. At the sorting feast, he scanned the other tables. The difference between this year and last year was very clear. Dumbledore remained as Charms professor.
What?
Never did he teach Charms. What happened to Flitwick?
I mean, if anything, Voldemort would just kill him.
Right, I would have, yeah, all right.
Or trapped him somewhere.
Let's see where this goes. Dumbledore remained as Charms professor, but many of the other professors Draco had known in the 4 years at Hogwarts were missing. Maybe that's why he stayed.
Probably.
And he had a feeling that asking after them would be a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess I could see that, like, Voldemort wouldn't let Flitwick continue teaching, and, like, he'd definitely get rid of Hagrid and Trelawney.
Oh god, Trelawney, definitely. Although
she does make real predictions.
Correct. And that's how he knew to kill Harry. So he might have kept her around.
Maybe.
Slytherin was overflowing so much that Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff had been pushed together. At least the Gryffindor table wasn't completely empty, though there was a noticeable lack of ginger there.
Sounds accurate.
The Weasleys were gone. A chill spread through the room as Voldemort stood up to speak. The wizarding world will remember this day for centuries. Voldemort addressed the students standing behind the podium that Dumbledore usually used for the start of term speech. They will remember me for centuries. I will not stop until the whole world knows my name, knows of Hogwarts and its prestigious students and teachers under my command. And as long as there's light, you will remain in my shadow, and you will die for me. Oh, that's That's real aggressive to be saying to students.
Yeah, you're talking to students.
All right, okay. And before any of you Gryffindors get any ideas, mark my words. Just one mistake is all it will take for each and every one of you to be forgotten.
Do you mean forgotten or killed? Because that's kind of vibe I'm getting.
Yeah, it is Voldemort we are talking to.
Yeah.
Some legends, like your precious boy who once lived and then died, will fade to dust.
It's great.
You could have just left it at boy who once lived.
Nope, you want to go all the way.
Some legends turn to gold and are remembered forever for centuries. I am the latter. Welcome to school.
It's a horrible welcome to school speech.
Well, the Dark Lord. Now we're the Dark Lord. The Dark Lord snapped his fingers and the tables filled with food. Draco didn't know what he had expected, but the light that filled the great hall and the usual varied fare of the feast were off-putting. So was the silence. Not even the Slytherin table chattered like before. A heavy silence had settled over the room, and everyone stared at their plates. This is very aggressive out of nowhere. Mudblood! Draco's head jerked up at the word, chills rushing down his spine in a way he couldn't possibly have predicted as he followed his fellow Slytherins into the passage to the common room that was revealed with the password. No one lingered. As the Slytherin students filed up to their dormitories, Draco lay awake for a long time. Why are they filing up to their dormitories?
I was just gonna...
They're in the basement. They're in the dungeons.
Well, it might be like they're in the dungeons and then the common room, like the dormitories are up, kind of like in the Gryffindor Tower.
All right, I'll accept that for now.
Because I don't think it ever describes like how the rooms are set up.
No, just that the common room's vast in a green glow because of the window into the lake.
Yeah.
Draco lay awake for a long time that night, staring up at the canopy above his bed. The feeling of dread had settled into what felt like a cold, hard stone in the bottom of his stomach. It wasn't long before students began to disappear. Mostly Gryffindors at first, then Ravenclaws and Hufflepuffs, and even a few Slytherins. It would have been obvious to everyone that they had been eliminated, were it not for the furtive glances that the Death Eater replacements of professors shared, and the cold fury evident on Voldemort's face when he noticed or was told. So they're not being eliminated, they're running away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I probably would just, run away too.
Oh, 100%. I don't even think I would have shown back up for school.
No.
I would have followed the Weasleys.
Yeah, gotten out of there.
Bye. The remaining Gryffindors, Hufflepuffs, and Ravenclaws began to huddle at one table during meals. Though they spoke in hushed tones, they no longer stared at their plates. When Draco watched them, at first unable to identify what was different about the behavior, what set them apart from the Slytherins. Then, one day, it struck him. They weren't afraid. After that, he became determined to find out what was really going on.
I bet they're all hiding in the room of requirements.
Right. That's my theory as of right now. Oi, Gryffindor! He hissed at one of the younger ones he caught smiling after dinner that night. He turned and he beckoned to her. At first, she only stared at him. He could hear her friends whispering, "Anna, don't do it. He's one of them, Anna." Anna crooked her head, obviously considering, and just when Draco was about to give up, she told her friends to go ahead and that she would meet them in the common room. Okay, Anna.
This doesn't seem safe. I probably would have been like, okay, hold on. I'm going to go over there and talk to him. Come get me if anything weird happens.
Right. Come on. She gasped when Draco grabbed her arm and dragged her into an abandoned corridor. but she didn't try to run away. "You were smiling," he accused when they were far enough away to speak.
Okay, Draco.
"Yeah? Why?" She pursed her lips together and frowned. "Why do you want to know?" "It doesn't matter," he snapped. "Tell me or I'll..." He hadn't expected her to remain silent, unmoving, in the face of his nameless threat. And he found that he couldn't even finish what he meant to say, that he would use one of the unforgivable curses to make her tell him. His fingers curled around his wand, though, drawing it threateningly. Anna crooked her head at him, eyes flicking to the movement of his hands. "Do you want to go too?" she asked. He was so surprised he lowered his wand and whispered urgently, without malice, "Go where?" "I don't know," she said seriously. "But I'm going next week. You can come," she added before Draco had time to respond properly. "It might take a while because we're only going 2 and 3 at a time, but I'm sure Professor McGonagall would take you too." Great, McGonagall's there.
Yeah.
"McGonagall? In the castle?" Oh.
Oh.
No.
She's not supposed to be there.
No. "No, but you just said she was." "No, I didn't." "Then how do you know that name? You're a first year. You've never had Professor McGonagall." Anna seemed to be measuring him, judging him more harshly than even the Sorting Hat. "Are you really one of them?" she asked. "No," he said. "Then, yes, I don't know." She looked at him, something akin to pity. "Talk to Professor Dumbledore," she said. "I have to go. Goodbye," she told him over her shoulder just before she disappeared into the crowd of students heading for their dormitories. The first time he had charms after that, he lingered after everyone else was gone, 1 foot out the door. "Do you have something to ask me, Draco?" he heard Dumbledore say to him. He bolted. It took him a week before he got up the courage to say anything to the former headmaster. Then he stood in front of Dumbledore's desk for what seemed like an eternity, licking his lips, looking at the floor. Finally he said, "Anna told me to talk to you." "I thought she might have." Silence fell again until Draco looked up to see Dumbledore waiting expectantly, a small, benevolent smile on his face. Very Dumbledore.
Yep.
"I want to go," Draco blurted. "I see," said Dumbledore. "And where is it you want to go?"
Yep, that would be Dumbledore's response.
Yeah. "I want to go where you've been taking them, and I don't want to wait. I want to go tonight." Whew. That's a hefty ask, Draco.
Demanding.
That is a hefty ask. Dumbledore considered him for a moment, much as Anna had earlier. "Very well," he said. "Wait, that's it?" Draco said. "Even though I'm one of them? Are you?" Draco clenched his jaw and said nothing. "My dear boy," the old man said, "the only possible result of taking an eye for an eye is the whole world going blind. If you truly wish to go, climb to the top of the astronomy tower at 6 o'clock. Draco nodded. That evening, when his stomach rumbled, he ignored his hunger, and when everyone else filed into the great hall, Draco Malfoy sped up the staircase to the top of the astronomy tower as fast as he could. "Good, Fred," said a hushed, familiar voice. "You take young Christopher. Miss Nethercott, you go with George. And good flying, Weasleys. I'll meet you off the grounds in a moment. Dumbledore said there might be a third to go tonight." Draco stepped apprehensively into the early moonlight. He caught a glimpse of Fred and George Weasley flying away on their broomsticks, each with a young student in Hogwarts robes behind them. He cleared his throat softly. Professor McGonagall turned and looked incredulously at him. If Minerva McGonagall was surprised, she hid it well. Well, yeah.
That's who she is.
Yes. "Well, Mr. Malfoy," she said, gesturing to a broomstick hovering beside her. "As the twins would say, hop on." He climbed awkwardly onto the broom behind her. "I'd hold on if I were you," she said. "We're not going on an afternoon stroll."
Sassy as always.
I love McGonagall. She's got to be one of my favorites. Draco linked his arms around Professor McGonagall's waist, and before he could truly feel awkward about it, they were streaking through the air at a dizzying pace to land just outside Hogwarts ground on the far side of the Forbidden Forest. "What's he doing here?" said Fred when they landed. He looked strange. Draco realized that he and his brother both had brooms strapped to their backs. "The same thing as you and I presume," Professor McGonagall told him, taking Draco's hand. He noticed that she, too, had strapped her broom to her back. She offered her other hand to George or Fred. He never paid enough attention to learn to tell them apart. They were just Fred and George to him. "Come on." George linked hands with a small Ravenclaw boy, who in turn took the little Hufflepuff girl's hand while she reached for Fred. Fred's free hand was clenching and unclenching, and everyone was looking at him expectantly. "At your convenience, Mr. Weasley," Professor McGonagall said pointedly. Fred held out his hand to Draco, and Draco took it. "1," said Professor McGonagall. "2, 3. Draco felt a sharp tug in the back of his sinuses, and his stomach churned as their circle started spinning and spinning, and then, just as suddenly, stopped. When he opened his eyes, Professor McGonagall was staring down at him as he lay on his back on the soft grass. The sound of running water reached his ears. Slowly, he sat up, realizing he was in a valley surrounded by mountains of stone. More immediately, there was ornate fountains and garden paths twisting around him. McGonagall cleared her throat and nodded towards something behind him. He was dimly aware that Fred and George Weasley were helping their passengers up off the grass. He heard the 2 first years gasp and squeal with delight. Draco scrambled around as best he could without vomiting and gasped. "Welcome, Mr. Malfoy, to Beauxbatons." All done.
I feel like I was expecting that it was going to be Harry standing behind them, but I liked that ending too.
Yeah,
It was a good story.
I like it. I'm very happy I found it.
Yeah, it was a good last minute find.
Yeah, because I hated everything else that I had already found.
That was literally the first thing she said when she walked in. She's like, "I don't have anything to read anymore."
I hate everything.
Okay.
So I found this for your listening pleasure.
It was great. I liked it.
I enjoyed that a lot, actually.
All right, any last minute announcements?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. We will see you guys next week.
See you next week.
Thank you so much for joining us on our journey through the trap door.
Please leave us a review on Facebook or iTunes. It would literally mean the world to us.
It really would.
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Through the Trapdoor 16 or on Twitter at The Trapdoor.
And please send us an email at throughthetrapdoor16@gmail.com with any story suggestions. And as always, join us again next Saturday as we travel through the trapdoor.